Hello yogi friends. What I've been thinking of recently is how we have a center and then the perimeter around. And of course we've been maybe exploring this of late, knowing that we can walk from our homes within a 5-kilometer radius. But also I've just been thinking about it in terms of the body, because we have our core, our belly center, and then as we often talk about, the hips and the shoulders connect, the knees and the elbows, and then we've been doing a little bit of work as well on the ankles and the neck. So today we'll explore our center and then moving out to our extremities. So there'll be a lot of focus on fingers and toes and kind of expanding our awareness to the whole of the body. So let's begin with a short mindfulness practice. Your eyes can be soft or closed. And our intention is to become very familiar with our center and our edges, our extremities. And of course our awareness will take the whole of the body in between those two points of focus. So let's begin by bringing the breath right down into the belly center. Taking 5 abdominal breaths. If you find it helpful to bring a hand to the belly, just so that there's a felt sense, then go ahead and do that. And we breathe into the hand. And then releasing the hand to the knee or the lap. And now as you breathe, just opening up the field of your awareness down into the hips, drawing up into the rib cage, kind of radiating out from the belly center. Feeling the whole of the torso held in your awareness, front and back, right up into the shoulders, the upper back, and down to the buttocks. Radiating wider along the thighs and along the arms, to the knees, to the elbows, up through the neck into the head, and then expanding awareness right to the edges, right down to the toes, to the fingertips, and up to the crown of the head. Taking in the whole of the body, any sensations that may be pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. Just a sense of the body sitting here in a dignified way, ready for our practice. And now expanding beyond the body. So although we have a physical limit, our heart, our energy, our mind can expand much further into the space around you. Imagine expanding out into your community, the sky above. So from the center of the belly, we open our awareness to everything. And giving ourselves permission to sit and do nothing just for a little while. Doing nothing, yet experiencing everything. And now bring fingertips onto the floor beside you. And then we'll draw a big circle. So reaching all the way out through the fingertips as the arms lift. The gaze lifts. And then again, draw that semicircle all the way back down. So feel how from the heart center now we radiate out through the shoulders, along the arms, the forearms, into the hands, right to the fingertips. Really stretching out. Reaching all the way up. And then this time as the hands come down, flex the hands so that you're pushing the wrists away. The fingertips are pulling in towards you. Just notice that different sensation. Maybe quite achy all through the fascia of the neck and the shoulders. Then turn the palms upwards, big open palms. Lifting the heavy air, lifting the gaze. And once again, turning the palms outwards and just feel that deep, achy stretch right from the heart center all the way out, shooting out through the palms of the hands. And then letting your left hand touch down and the right arm's going to lift all the way up. So drawing a different circle now. Down to the earth on one side and then up and over to the other side. And of course now we are radiating awareness into the side body. Maybe feeling the hips as well, participating. And then coming back to stillness. And now just reaching out your feet, the legs nice and straight. And the feet flexed. And then pointing one foot as the other flexes and switching over. Just feel how that feels. It's a bit of a brain game. Just to let one point, the other flex. And then flexing up both feet, bringing the hands behind and just resting the head back onto the shoulders and see how far the neck is willing to go. And then lifting up. And then just working with one foot, we're going to grab that pencil underneath the toes, pull it back. And let the knee participate as well. So just feeling the toes working. Just exploring into the ankle and a little bit into the knee joint. And then switching sides. So really bringing awareness right out to the extremities, particularly in the southern hemisphere, moving into winter. We want to be very conscious of our toes, our fingers, making sure our circulation is good. And then both feet together. Seeing if they can move together. Sometimes one is a bit more conscious than the other. But we're just playing. And release, and once again lean the head back and just notice whether there's any subtle sense of release into the neck. And now bringing the arm out in front, we're going to hold the fingers underneath and gently pull back. So really stretching as we did before, but using the other hand just to get a slightly deeper stretch right through. You may feel sensation through the neck, through the arm, right into the wrists and the hands. And then switching sides, just gently drawing back. So this is less of a muscular stretch as a fascia stretch. That cellophane sheath that coats all of the muscles and the joints and connects the whole of the body. And then the other way, just gently pulling the hand back, cupping it in the other hand, just stretching along the front of the hand and switching sides. So we'll keep bringing awareness into the extremities, but of course we also need to focus on the center. So bending your knees up, holding the knees for now. We're just going to take these undulations. So warming up the lower back. But each time you draw back, pull that lower band of abdominals in, so that you can really start to awaken the core muscle groups, the center of our body. So now releasing the knees, you'll notice you need a little bit more abdominal work. The fingers point forwards. Keep the shoulders nice and relaxed and the face soft. And then see if you can go a little bit lower. Keep the chin tucked in, abdominals strong. And then the next time, come all the way down to the ground. And the head resting in the palms of the hands, the fingers interlaced. And then bringing both legs up into the sky. So once again, we can point the toes and then flex the feet. Just feel the different side to side. And then remember our intermediate or our kind of combined pose where we floint. So we spread the toes, we're kind of flexing the toes, but we're pointing the feet, so that there's lots of space between each of the toes. And see if you can keep that orientation. Notice how active that is. What you're doing is pressing out through this acupuncture point right at the bottom of the feet, and that energizes the whole of the lower body. It's on the kidney meridian line. It's called our bubbling spring. And then gently lift your pelvis off the ground. So you'll need your abdominals to do that. Just lift and lower, lift and lower. Two more times. And then lifting the head up. It's supported by the hand. And lift and lower, lift and lower. We won't be able to go very far, but you'll feel the abdominals starting to communicate. Just three more. And then relaxing back, feet on the ground, knees bent. And we're going to bring the hands, palms down underneath the buttocks. So this is a way to protect the lower back. And bring the legs out straight in front of you. So hands underneath the buttocks, just so that the lower back is protected. And then bring one knee into the chest and switch it over. So very gently, 1 foot points away, knee into the chest. Keep engaging lower abdominals, so you're pushing the lower back down. But supported by the hands, just to make it a little bit more accessible. And then if you like to, just coming up onto the elbows and continue like that. So just hands under buttocks, resting on the elbows, and just alternating the legs. Chin into the chest. You may feel the muscles further up the abdomen talking to you. We often just focus on that lower band, but now we're really waking up the whole of our center whilst bringing awareness to our extremities. And then bringing feet onto the floor, gently rocking up. And a couple of pelvic rocks, undulations, just to ease any tension that may have accumulated. And then crossing ankles, will come onto hands and knees. A nice familiar pose. But really spread the fingers wide. So we want to keep a lot of awareness in the hands and the fingers, and claw the fingers into your mat. And you might see the color changing in the fingernails as the blood is pushed out of the way. So really claw in, and then gentle cat and cow. But with that awareness in the hands. And then making this a little more dynamic, just to keep ourselves warm. We're going to drop back into child's pose. Reach the fingers as far forward as you can go. And then gently coming up, claw the fingers as you shift the weight, shoulders over the hands and into a little press up. And all the way back. The fingers can relax as the buttocks meet the heels. And then they activate again as we move forward. Gentle little push up, keeping the elbows right next to the rib cage. Drawing the heart forward and the shoulder blades back so that there's no hunching around the neck. Just feeling this rhythmic movement and seeing if you can link with your own breathing rhythm. Remembering to claw the fingers as you go down. 2 more. Back into child's pose, relax the hands. And then walk the hands towards the knees, and you're going to tuck the toes under. So this is a lovely little toe stretch. And with our toes open, and you need to just, feel your way in here, it can be quite intense. Maybe shifting towards the baby toes, towards the big toes, or just holding steady. But let's explore the neck a little bit. So bring the chin down, and then lift it back so the eyes are facing forward, and then dropping right ear to right shoulder, and lift. Left ear to left shoulder and lift. Chin dropping forward again. Feel that delicious stretch through the back of the neck. Inhale up. Right ear to right shoulder, and then this time roll it forward. So feel those changing sensations through the neck and through the shoulders until the left ear comes to the left shoulder, and then gently rolling back again. Lifting up to neutral. If your toes are getting very sore, you just sort of shift your position a little bit, or you can flatten them out, of course. Now dropping the neck to the left side, and then gently rolling around. You may hear lots of crunches and crackles. Right ear to right shoulder, and then rolling back. And then bring the head back up to neutral. Notice how the toes are doing. And this is our last neck and toe exercise. So we'll drop the left ear to the left shoulder and then roll in a full circle. Just feel how it feels, but if there's any vulnerability in the neck, don't take it very far back. And then reverse direction. And coming up. Free the toes. Sit back on the heels. Let the arms lift up and overhead. Just once again connecting with our full range right up to the extremities, the fingertips and beyond. And then reaching forward, tucking toes, downward facing dog. And gently walk out the heels, just feeling into the calves here and the hamstrings. Notice how the toes feel, having been really stretched in quite an unusual way, and then bring them back to stillness. So once again, we'll use those hands, the strength in the hands. We're going to draw the heart forward into plank, claw the fingers, and back into downward facing dog. Floating forward, claw the fingers, back into down dog. Just 3 more times, feeling how it feels as the weight shifts and moves. By using the fingers, we're protecting the wrists and we're strengthening the whole of the hand, increasing blood flow, warming up our extremities, even in cold conditions. Coming back into downward facing dog. And of course, any time that we're in down dog, if your body needs a deeper rest, then let child's pose welcome you. So once we're in down dog, taking 3 conscious breaths. Seeing if the breath can come all the way into the abdominal cavity, expanding there and squeezing all the organs. And then letting right leg float up behind you. Still the hips facing the earth, so it's the inner thigh that lifts a little. And then floating forward and the knee comes into the chest. Clawing fingers once again. Right leg back. This time right knee to right elbow. And back. And forward across the body to the left elbow. And back. And return the foot to the earth, broaden the knees, big toes together, child's pose. So it's a pose for turning inwards, for replenishment, and yet we can also make it quite active, quite dynamic. So without moving the knees, just imagine squeezing them towards each other. switching on the muscles that are required to gather up energy inwards. And as you squeeze the knees in, can you feel the sits bones broadening? It's like a fulcrum. One end pulls in, the other end opens out. And then let everything soften and notice whether you can spread and relax a little more deeply onto the earth. And when you're ready, coming back into downward facing dog. Seeing if you can lift your toes off the ground here, spread them a little bit wider and then place them back on the earth. And then letting the left leg float up behind. Bring the knee into the chest as you activate the hands, moving forward into plank. Inhale back. Exhale, left knee to left elbow. And back. And left knee to right elbow. And back. Downward facing dog. And then using all that hand strength to float forward one more time. And lowering down. You can use chaturanga or bring the knees to the earth. And find your way onto the floor. Feel the breath filling the belly, pressing against the earth, nourishing the lower back. And then gently lifting the heart. Our baby cobra. Exhale, release. 3 lifts, maybe getting a little higher each time. Resting down, and now activating the hands, so interlacing the fingers behind your back, pushing the palms together as much as your shoulders will allow, and then gently drawing the hands away from you, lifting the heart, lifting the feet. Floating in our Shalabhasana. Engaging all the muscles along the spine. And feeling the fingers clasping, holding, supporting us. While the toes push out behind. And release. Let everything spread and relax onto the earth. And then hands underneath the shoulders. You can either push back into child's pose and find your way into down dog, or you can activate the hands, clawing the fingers once again, lifting the thighs, and push up into downward facing dog. Breathing in, breathing out. Now letting the left leg lift up behind, but this time open the hips as well, so you can gaze under the armpit and the foot can go as high as it wants to. So see if you can keep the hands equally pressed onto the earth, and then bend the heel to the buttock. You'll notice a delicious stretch into the quads. So hold there just for a moment, our open hip pose. And then what you can do very gently with the standing foot, just allow it to turn onto the blade edge, the little toe down. And then shift your weight onto the right arm and bring your top foot in front of you. So we're in a variation of Vajrasthana. You can bring your left hand onto your hip. So we're on the baby toe side of the back foot, right on the blade. Our left foot is supporting us and really pulling the shoulder blade underneath so that you feel supported here. And then if it's available, reach your top arm up into the sky. Really find those extremities, the foot pushing back, the fingers reaching up, and the hand grounding us onto the earth. And release, well done. Back into downward facing dog. Finding your symmetry and just using a vinyasa to move any tightness or blocked energy through. Finding your way into cobra or up dog, and then returning to downward facing dog. Breathing in and breathing out. And let's play with that on the other side, and we're all different side to side, so this may be more challenging, it may be easier. So grounding your left foot, maybe closer to the middle of your mat, and then lifting that right leg and opening it up. So the gaze can be under the right armpit. And when you're ready, the heel comes towards the buttock. Feel that stretch through the front of the thigh. And then gently bringing that right foot in front of you, just kind of halfway on the mat. Just gently finding a straight line through the side body. You're resting on the left arm, and the left foot is on the blade edge of the baby toe. So the hand can be on the hip. Just feel your steadiness. Draw the shoulder blade underneath, and then reaching up with the top arm, find your extremities and reach even beyond the limitations of the body. And release. Back into downward facing dog, floating forward into plank, using knees, chin, chest if you prefer, or chaturanga. Rolling shoulder blades back for cobra or upward dog, and then child's pose. Take a moment to recalibrate, to find the center. Breathing deep into the belly. And opening awareness from the belly outwards. Breathing awareness into the torso, into the limbs, and right out to the toes and the fingers and the crown of the head. And then gently moving on to hands and knees, toes tuck, downward facing dog. Letting the right leg float up skyward, step it forward between the hands. And then shifting weight, step the back foot forward to meet the front. Inhale, opening the heart for flat back. And then exhale, fold. So here our toes and our fingers are right next to each other. So start with your two first fingers underneath the toes, just gripping around the toes, the big toe. And then gently bend your knees as much as you need to so that you can push the big toe into those first two fingers and gently pull up. And just see whether the heart lifts forward a little bit. See if the sits bones can lift, really activating through the hamstrings. And using that downward push with the toes to give you a place to work with, a boundary in which to explore the opening of the body. And then release. Breathing in, breathing out, bending the knees as much as you need to so that you can push into the earth and come up. Lifting arms into the sky. And then feel the fingertips very gently come together overhead. Just a light touch of connection. Left and right side meeting in the midline. Push the feet down into the earth, lift the toes just to activate. Notice a sense of energy rising all the way up the body, right out, shooting through the fingertips. And then let the hands come together down the midline. The toes settle back onto the earth. Connecting with the ease of Samastitihi. Hands at the heart. Recollecting our intention that we always have our center to return to, so that we can reach out and beyond the perimeter of our own body. Letting arms float skywards once more, and then flexing the hands, pushing the heels of the hands away. Notice that sensation. Has it changed a little bit since the beginning of your practice? And then bending the knees, coming all the way down, chin into the chest, rolling down. Inhale, flat back. And then one at a time, lifting the feet, the heels will stay on the ground, and take the hands underneath so that the fingertips are massaging into the arch. And then the other side. So again, this connection of hands and feet, fingers and toes. The knees will bend as much as they need to, and then gently pushing the feet, the toes into the wrists, lifting the fingers into the arches, and gently lengthening the body up through the sits bones, stretching through the arms and the shoulders. Just feel how the body is holding itself safe, which allows it to stretch. And gently release. Hands come out from under the feet, heart swings forward, and then letting the right leg step back into a lunge. The knee can come down, the toes can stay flexed and active so that we're opening into the ball of the foot, and then press down to come up, hands resting on that front knee. So starting by really engaging around the core, we're going to pull the tailbone down, pull the lower belly in. You'll feel that stretch through the front of the right thigh. You can even use a little pressure onto that front knee just to pull back, lifting underneath the ribcage. And from that very collected, centered place, now we can take the arms wide, open them up into the sky, maybe bending forward into that front knee and opening into your full expression. The head can rest back on the ledge at the top of the shoulders, opening the heart. And then gently roll the chin forward, let the arms return to the earth, and step back into downward facing dog. Breathing in, breathing out. Floating forward into plank. Lowering to the earth. Rolling the shoulders back, coming into a cobra pose, and just stay there for a moment. Once again, clawing fingers, pulling the hands back without moving them, and drawing the heart forward. And then release. Pushing back into child's pose. This time with the hands back next to the feet, feel that little ball, that centered, safe place from which we move outwards. sitting back on the heels. Optional here, you can either tuck the toes or keep them flat. Just choose what your body wants to do this morning. And then the arms wide to the side, really reaching like so. For the upper body, the heart is the center. So from the heart, feel energy radiating out through the fingertips and beyond. A really lovely organic stretch. And then bringing right arm underneath the left, twining the hands around. You can just have a lovely hug here. This is a wonderful variation of the pose, or you can take your eagle arms and then lifting the elbows up. Feel the fingertips reaching up into the sky. So working with these different perimeters, these different circles within the body. Our shoulders opening here, having an equal impact on the hips. Our elbows, our knees working together, our wrists and our ankles. Gently unwind, shoot the arms out again. You may want to change the toes, either tucking them under or flattening them out. And this time bringing left arm under right. Again, you can start with a hug. This may be the pose that feels right for you. You can even massage under the shoulder blades or twining the arms around. And then gently lifting up. Feel the shoulder blades kind of drawing open. And very softly release. Letting the hands rest on the thighs, and any sensation, let it kind of melt out or flow out of the shoulders. And then hands come forward once again, spreading them nice and wide, clawing the fingers, toes tucked behind you. Downward facing dog. Taking our Anjaneyasana on the other side. So we'll lift the right leg, draw it forward between the hands, and then let the left knee come down to the ground. The toes can stay tucked and active, and push the front foot into the earth. Come up into our right angles. So first of all, we engage, we hug into the core. So really engage those lower band of abdominals, pull back. Pull the tailbone down, feel front of the left thigh stretching. Can even lift underneath the rib cage a little bit. So once you feel really sort of gathered in and centered, then you can slowly open outwards. Letting the arms open, maybe shifting weight into that front knee. Keep pulling the hip back. And then letting the head soften back. Feeling the strength radiating out from the core, right beyond the fingertips. And release. Hands to the earth. And take your giant moon step to the front of your space. Inhale the heart forward. Exhale back. Bend the knees as much as you need to ground those feet into the earth. Little indentations in your mat. And the arms come wide. Fingertips gently find each other. Notice that tenderness of touch. Rooting down to rise up into the sky. Maybe a little heart opening back then. And then hands come down the midline. Refocusing awareness on the belly center and the deepening breath. Releasing the hands next to the thighs, let them draw their own circle, their own circumference. And then back again as we swallow, dive forward. Inhale, flat back. And this time stepping the left leg back into a lunge. But grounding the back heel this time. And we're going to windmill the arms open. So we're in our warrior two. That front knee opening towards the baby toe side. And the arms reaching out. So again, we've got these two centers kind of radiating out. We've got our lower tanti and the belly center radiating energy down through the feet, stretching the mat in opposite directions. And then from heart center, that energy radiating out right through fingertips, front and back. Feel the elegance, the expansiveness of this pose, our warrior two. And then straightening the front leg. Reaching all the way forwards, keeping both sides of the waist long, and then gently bringing that right hand down onto the right leg or onto the floor, onto a block as well. And turning the gaze up if that's available for your neck, or gazing down, or gazing straight out in front. Finding the beauty of Trikonasana, three-angle pose. And then let that top arm reach forward. Just notice the changing sensations through the side of the body. And gently let it lift you back up through warrior three. And then we'll just bring those right toes to face, or the edge of the right foot to be parallel with the short end of your mat, so that your both feet are in parallel. Hands onto the hips, lifting the heart, and then gently bowing forward. So our Prasarita Padottanasana. And just see if it's available to you. You either hold on to the shins or the ankles, or once again you can take the two fingers and take them under the big toe. You may need to bend the knees, that's totally fine. Pressing the big toes down into the fingers, pulling the fingers up and hinging the elbows. Just see what's available to you. The knees can be bent or they can be straightening a little bit, but never hyperextend the knees. Always keeping that micro bend. And then see if the sensation can move right the way up into the sits bones, opening right deep into the pelvis. And letting your out breath soothe you. Inhale, lift the heart, release the fingers. Bend the knees just enough so that there's no strain. Pull the tailbone down. And coming back up. Hands on the hips. Turning your left toes now so that they face the short end of your mat. We're going to do our Trikonasana on the other side. So starting in warrior two, the knee opening out. Feeling energy radiating from the heart all the way along the arms, right out beyond the fingertips. And then straightening that left leg, reaching out, sideways, staying long as you come down. Find your triangle pose. Just noticing all those different triangles between the legs, between the front arm and the front leg.
reaching up and down at the same time. Stretching the mat between your feet. And then just let that top arm reach forward over your head, lengthening from hip through the waist all the way through the fingertips. And then let that arm be the one that lifts you back up. Warrior two. And then turning that left foot once again parallel with the right. This time bringing hands behind your sacrum, interlacing the fingers as we've done before, and pulling them down. Feel the shoulder blades squeezing together. And now once again into our prasarita, but this time lifting the hands. And just to add something here, you can also lift the toes. So just feel that balance on the heels, on the balls of the feet. And then spreading the toes, return them to earth for extra balance as the arms lift up and reach forward. Using the out breath to release any points of tension. And then very gently bringing the hands to the sacrum. Just reconnecting with the center of our being. Lifting the heart. Bending the knees as you need to. Tailbones scooping under. Right toes pointing forward so that we are ending as we began. The arms will float up and reach either side of that front foot as we step forward. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, fold. Rooting down to rise up. And once again, letting fingertips come into touch. Feeling the tenderness of our own touch. And then down the midline to the heart. And our hands and our fingertips can be very beautiful healing tools. So gently just use your fingertips to tap on your forehead, moving around your eyes, underneath the eyes. There may be little points of tenderness there. And then moving down along the jawline, down to the sternum, again just out along those collarbones, sometimes just underneath it is again little tender spots related to our meridian system. Down through the middle of the chest, and then just tapping the ribs. The thumb can be just below or kind of on the bra line. And then coming back up. And now using one hand just to tap along the other arm. So just very gently wakening up and then all the way back so that the other hand has a turn. Just tapping. This is our heart-lung meridian. Very important just for our good health and happiness at this time. You can tap round over the shoulders. And then come once again, just into stillness. And feel how the body responds to a very gentle touch. Using our extremities to heal the center of the body itself. So bringing hands now onto the crown of the head and just gently rubbing with the palms this time down the back of the neck, and then round to the front of the neck. Again, bringing them down the middle of the chest, opening through the rib cage. You can take them down to the kidneys and just circle there a little bit. So our kidney chi is so important for our immune system. And then bringing them around the front of the body to the belly. And once again, back up over the chest, over the back of the neck. Over the top of the head, down the face. And once again into Samastiti. And then coming onto the earth. So the hands next to the thighs, the knees deeply bent. We can sweep the fingertips, just touching the earth. And using the arms as the counterbalance as we gently descend down into a little ball. And finding your way back on to the ground. Inhale, lifting the heart. Exhale, just taking these little pelvic rocks. And then choosing, you're welcome to take the last 3 minutes in a seated meditation pose or coming down into Shavasana. A beautiful yin pose of deep relaxation where the mind, having done our physical practice that moves energy right from the center, right out to the extremities, is able to be vivid and awake. So honoring your body's request to sit or to lie. And then bringing awareness right back to the belly center. Letting that be our anchor. The mind may very well wander off. That's what minds tend to do. But we can use our Shavasana or our sitting practice just to train the mind to stay present. To stay with that rhythmic movement of the breath as it fills the belly and as it releases from the whole body. The mind wanders, we invite it back with a gentleness, a tenderness. The same way we're learning to bring that kindness to the body through our yoga practice. We bring a friendliness and kindness to the mind through our meditation practice. And then we realize, of course, that the two are not different. And
once that sense of kindness is cultivated within, it spreads out beyond the perimeter of our body, beyond the perimeter of our family, our friends. Our kindness can spread out to all beings in ever-widening circles. If you're in Shavasana, just gently wiggling toes and fingers, bringing one knee at a time into the chest. Rolling to one side and gently finding your way back into a seated pose. And we'll use the very traditional phrases of a metta practice, a loving kindness practice, which honors that we can send our loving kindness or compassion in increasingly wide perimeters. So as I ring the bell 3 times, we imagine sending out well wishes to all beings, wishing that they may be happy, that they may be free from suffering, that they may be healthy and well, and live lives of contentment and ease. Namaste. Have a wonderful day filled with loving kindness.